Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to list off the bodybuilders who I believe have the best arms in bodybuilding history. There are many bodybuilders who could have been on this list, and before anyone says anything, let me tell you my judging criteria. Basically, the bodybuilder's arms must be proportional, not lacking symmetry, of course, and also, more importantly, not having an overpowering muscle. For example, Jay Cutler had massive arms but lacked symmetry in his biceps, which ultimately throws off his proportion. Arnold, who is regarded as having insane arms, was mainly biceps dominant, which overpowered his relatively good triceps. Other judging criteria can change this list and have guys like Jay or Arnold placing extremely high, but I just wanted to get that out of the way first. I also want to say that this list mainly focuses on the biceps and triceps. However, the shoulders are taken into account if they are outstanding. Before I get into this list, I want to ask if you would take a moment to like and subscribe, as I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers and it would be much appreciated. With those things out of the way though, let's get into this video. Starting off this list is Albert Beckles, who displayed great overall development throughout his arms. His triceps are exceptionally good, however, his biceps stand out, featuring a unique heart shape with great peak and proportion. What's even more impressive to me is that he was presenting these shapely arms at the ripe age of 55, at the 1985 Mr. Olympia, where he took second to the one and only Lee Haney. Of course, Beckles does not have the same mass or freak factor as the others on this list, but his aesthetic proportions and flow from the golden era just can't go unacknowledged. Speaking of the golden era, taking the ninth place spot is Sergio Oliva. This golden era legend had some insanely massive arms for his time, and his small waist and cartoonish proportions only helped make his arms stand out. You may notice that his biceps don't have a freaky peak, but to me, the long muscle insertions of the bicep and tricep create an amazing flow. Like Beckles, Oliva doesn't have the same level of muscle mass or conditioning as others on the list, but his ridiculous arm proportions are undeniably remarkable. Kevin Levrone makes it to the 8th spot, featuring some massive 3D triceps and crazy round shoulders. Like Oliva, Levrone doesn't have the craziest bicep peaks, but has immense fullness throughout his arms and some standout triceps. Taking a look at his signature most muscular pose, or the side tricep pose, reveals just how good his arms were. His 1997 Finnish Grand Prix version presented one of the best packages for his arms, and looking at this video, I think it shows just how crazy they were. The reason he is only placed in the 8th spot is because he lacked the muscle separation other guys have on this list. Nevertheless, Levrone had some great arms, which were some of the best in certain shots. In the 7th place spot is Paul DILLET, an absolute freak of nature and a genetic phenom. Although he had his weaknesses, like subpar posing and a lackluster back, his arms were not one of them. DILLET's massive frame allowed him to build some of the best arms, with them allegedly being 24 inches. In terms of shape, there was nothing inherently special about his arms, with him having proportional biceps and triceps, large shoulders, and good separation between them. Ultimately, his overwhelming size is what gets him the edge over the other guys, and I think this is a fair place for such a monstrous man to place. Of course, Flex Wheeler, the Sultan of Symmetry, had to make it onto this list, and of course he does, and he's placing in the 6th place spot. He had some of the best arms in the business back in his earlier career, with cartoonish, bubbly round muscle bellies that created an extremely aesthetic flow. In his later years, he was called out for using synthol. However, if he was using it, guys, he was doing it well. Regardless, though, of the synthol, the round fullness of his biceps and triceps and the phenomenal separation between them really make Flex's arms stand out in a lineup. While they may not be the biggest ever, they surely are one of the most aesthetic and symmetrical, and for those reasons, he places rather respectably. In 5th place, we have Nick Walker, who has a physique that I don't necessarily like, but has arms that are undeniably some of the best ever. At almost 23 inches, Nick's arms are just massive, and his biceps really stand out. They have freaky peaks, and his triceps are amazing as well. I mean, that side tricep pose looks outstanding. His triceps have great insertions and are full, and overall, Nick presents a great package in the arm department. Nick most definitely has some of the best arms today, and who knows, he may continue to pack on more size and move up in placings. In fourth place, we have Ronnie Coleman, who has some of the freakiest bicep peaks of all time and one of the best front double bicep poses, in my opinion. His arms look outstanding from behind, too. However, the reason he doesn't place higher is because of his triceps. Don't get me wrong, it looks phenomenal from the front and the back as well, but from the side, it's rather lackluster. Sure, it's almost always striated perfectly, but Ronnie lacks mass in the tricep from the side, which takes away from him placing any higher. And I know this might upset some of you guys, and I'm sorry, but it is what it is. Let's go to the next placing. Rolly Winkler takes the third place spot, beating out the legendary Ronnie Coleman. You may be wondering, how is that even possible? But some of these shots just speak for themselves. He had massive arms that featured great proportions, top-notch conditioning, and he arguably had the best triceps of all time. They were huge, full, perfectly inserted, and strided to a T. Not many can rival the tricep he brought, and his biceps were impressive too. They were round and full, not as ridiculous as his triceps, but helped create balance between the two muscles. There really isn't anything to knock him down for, as he presented a near perfect package in the arm department. The top three is definitely debatable, and you could probably rearrange the placings and it would still be solid. Nevertheless, though, Rolly places third, the third best of all time, which is really not a shabby placing at all. In second place is Lee Priest, who most definitely had some of the craziest genetics of all time, no doubt, and his arms were definitely no exception. He was a shorter bodybuilder, so having those huge guns on a smaller frame added to his insane size and proportions. He had some of the craziest striations on his triceps. Many of you have probably seen this photo here, and had, some of the greatest biceps as well. His arms, while massive and freaky, were separated and balanced, and it never appeared as if his triceps dominated his biceps. And, he also had some great shoulders as well, just throwing that out there. Definitely some of the best arms from any angle, though, and it was extremely difficult deciding between him and the first place winner. For those of you who were wondering where he was, Phil the Gift Heath wins this list, taking first place. It was close between Priest and Heath, but ultimately Heath has arms that are like Priest's, but just bigger. He had very proportional arms featuring highly conditioned and separated biceps and triceps and huge round shoulders similar to LEVRONE's. He also featured a 3D roundness to his muscles, which only made his arms look even more ridiculous. Moreover, Heath featured some amazing forearms, which further helped create a balanced, proportional look. His biceps had a nice peak and always appeared very full, and his triceps were perfectly inserted and were almost always striated. The top three guys were so close, and there are definitely arguments for a rearrangement of the top three. However, I think that Phil Heath definitely had the best set of arms of all time, and that will wrap up this top 10 list. Alright guys, so that concludes this video. I want to quickly ask if you guys could like and subscribe. If you enjoyed, please let me know down in the comments, or if you disagreed with anything, also let me know down below. And thank you for watching like always, and I hope to see you in my next video.